But, of course, I'm talking about three-time MVP, World Series champion for our Yankees, almost 700 home runs, over 2,000 ribbies. Of course, the documentary, Alex versus A-Rod, Fox analyst. And for my money, as I said before, I went to before the update, nobody knows baseball and loves baseball as much or more than this man. Alex, what's happening, buddy? How you feeling?
BT, what's up, my friend? And congrats. I know Sal's not there, but congrats to both of you. You've had an extraordinary run here on the number one station, on the number one spot. And you've made all of us New Yorkers a little bit smarter, a little bit happier, and you brought a lot of juice to our lives.
Oh, man, that's awesome. And one thing about Alex, I told the story how you and I went to lunch. I guess that was about 3 or 4 months ago. And then from there, we sparked a friendship, which I definitely value and I appreciate. But what I don't think people know about you, and that's why I say I don't know if anybody loves the game the way you do, although a lot of people do say that. But for those who maybe don't process it that way, I mean, during the playoffs, I'm getting texts from A-Rod. What are we doing? What's going on here? How come we didn't hit? Like you inhale baseball still like it's oxygen. You still love it like you did when you were 7, 8, 9 years old, don't you?
I do. And BT, I think that's why we hit it off. I think our love for baseball, our love for the Yankees, I think you and I are the same in which we're passionate just like New Yorkers. We want to win very bad, and we have strong opinions, and we love our Yanks, and we love to play in October and win big.
Okay, so let's get to some of the issues at hand. I want to jump around. Now, first of all, I really like Bellinger. We know about, can fit in left, can fit in center, play first base in a pinch, good runner, good stick, a little contact. He's a baseball player, man. He's just a good baseball player. It's also my opinion, Alex, if it gets to 7-ish years or beyond that, like I think there's got to be a limit on how the Yankees and others would view him. He's a good player. He's not amazing. Can the Yankees have a successful offseason if they don't retain Bellinger, in your opinion?
I mean, they can, but obviously you have to be creative. There's talks about some trades, this and that. I think you have to give Cashman and Fishman the entire offseason before we kind of jump in with strong opinions. But what I do like about Bellinger is he's a proven New Yorker. He's played in all 3 major markets, L.A., Chicago, and New York. And he's a winning player. He's won a world championship. He's won an MVP. He's had some volatility. But I think you have to take a step back and say there's 4 things that we need if we want to sign a Yankee player. Number 1, they have to love baseball. They have to be passionate. Number 2, high baseball IQ and be able to defend. Number 3, can they hit over 250 and make decent contact? And number 4, does it fit in the window of Aaron Judge? And I think you have a clear yes to those 4 questions with Bellinger.
I love that. I tell you, that's a good criteria, great parameters there. You got to love baseball, hit over 250, the whole Judge angle, that's good stuff. And, speaking of Judge, one of the things that's frustrated me, and I've been very vocal about this pertaining to Brian Cashman, is that, you're just burning years of Aaron Judge's prime. It's not that Brian's not trying to put together a champion, I know, but it hasn't worked. It hasn't happened since 2009, since you were there, thank God. And how many more years can we expect Aaron Judge to be at the apex of his powers, man?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, I go back to our 2009 year, and, we had Damon, Jeter, Teixeira, myself, Matsui, Posada, so on and so forth. And you had a very complementary set of skills. I mean, Jeter and Damon made Teixeira and I better. We made Matsui and Posada better, and it was very complimentary. And I think it's just about creating a workable roster. And let's not forget that Aaron Judge had 2 phenomenal years back-to-back. Well, all his years are phenomenal. But just take the Soto years and one without Soto. 58 home runs, 144 stakes with Soto. And last year, he had 53 home runs with 114 stakes because you don't have someone in front of him on base consistently. Mm-hmm. So that's an easy formula to fix. You got to get rabbits in front of him that can make premier contact and just try to, can you find a Johnny Damon? Like for the Dodgers, it's not just about them getting Freeman and Mookie Betts and Kershaw and all the big stars. It's about Edman, Chris Taylor. Mm-hmm. They took Justin Turner and they took Muncy and created great, great baseball players when nobody wanted them. And, Miguel Rojas from the Marlins, and he becomes a Game 7 World Series hero. So it's about all the complementary pieces to go along with your great superstars.
So we're talking to Alex Rodriguez, of course, a ton of MVPs, a champion, just one of the best players in the history of the game, bottom line. So you mentioned 2009 and going around the horn, Tex, Cano, Jeter, you. And this is not to denigrate some of these names. I think Ben Rice is a terrific hitter, but I don't know if he could play first base. You know, Jazz has a lot of talent, but I myself don't trust him. I will not give him a long-term deal. I mean, Volpe's a mess, and we'll get back to Volpe in a minute. I've got to get your thoughts on how to fix him. Caballero, more of a bench guy. McMahon, who strikes out 200 times a year and hits 212. I mean, so, like, we're sitting here wondering why the Yankees don't have all these championships. Well, I mean, think about the contrast from your infield, and not to mention the other stuff, to this infield. I mean, what a drop, Alex. It's not even close.
Yeah, like sometimes, you know, we complicate winning. And this is not just about the Yankees, but in general. I mean, if the Yankees, what's worked 27 times, more championships than any other team in sports, why reinvent the wheel? I mean, I don't think you've had from those championship teams, like for the math guys, right, that have taken over baseball.
Ugh.
Like you can't win a championship with 4 out of your 6 infielders. Well, there's some noise in the background here. You can't have 4 of your 6 infielders, you know, hitting sub 230. That formula doesn't work now, and it'll never work. That's why I put a parameters. Can my guys hit 250 and above?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Alex, by the way, like the average is one thing. I'm totally with you, but it's also too often I feel like the Yankees are trying to figure out if certain guys could play certain spots defensively. Like, well, maybe this guy could catch, or maybe this guy could figure it out at first base, or maybe this guy could transition to the outfield. Like, I love an on-base guy and a good two-strike approach and, you know, choke up and just put the ball in play when you have to, and obviously power early in the count. But, like, the ability to catch the baseball, and the Yankees have gotten better at that the last year or so, but I still don't even think it's really where it needs to be, which gets us to Volpe. All right, we've texted a little bit about this, you know, watching games and analyzing his swing. My concern about Volpe is, well, number one, he's just never on base, and he's not the hitter that he needs to be yet. But you tell me, man, when you're hurt, and he just had surgery on his shoulder, so his offseason's going to be impacted. He's got a lot of work to do to change things. How could you come back a different player, Alex, when you can't really put the work in during the offseason because you're injured?
Yeah, look, and this is one of the nicest young men, and you and I, you know, we cheer hard for him because he really is an incredible young man with a great family.
Love him.
And the organization has fallen in love with him. But at some point, the numbers don't lie, right? You have 167 strikeouts, 156, and 150. And here's a young man that the biggest way he can impact winning is with his number one tool and his legs. But we've taken his legs away. And what I mean by that, here's a young man who has stolen over 50 stolen bases in the minor leagues. He stole 18 last year. And it's hard to impact winning when you're striking out 150 times and you're hitting 212.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think if you zoom out, BT, is an organization hitting philosophy that is absolutely broken. And until they fix it, I don't think they win big.
Let me ask you this. You talk about hitting philosophy, and you know my son's young, and I've sent you some videos, whatever. He's a young kid. He loves baseball. He's pretty good, but, you know, you got to keep working. And he plays with some great players, and there's all these philosophies and hitting facilities and all this stuff. Like, when you were coming up, 12, 13, 14, did you even really talk hitting with a coach, or did you see ball, hit ball, right?
Yeah, it was about being a good baseball player, right? It was about doing all the little things that may not show up in the score box, that are not sexy on ESPN, but it's about catching the ball fundamentally, you know, turning the double play when a ground ball's hit to you, making sure that the manager knows when a ground ball hits to short is going to be 6-3, automatic out. Those are the things, the foundation that you need. And then the frosting on top is, you know, can you hit, like, I love to see Volpe hit, you know, 265, 7 or 8 home runs, drive me in 50 runs, but steal me, you know, 35 bags, hit me 30 doubles, give me about 7 or 8 bunts per year, and make contact at a really, really high rate. Mm-hmm. That way we can highlight his best asset, which is his legs, and not neuter it.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Amen. I mean, I don't know how the Yankees haven't figured this out yet. I mean, to me, and I've said this for a long time, I think there's just inherently something off at the lower levels of the minors with the Yankees. There's no accident, or it's not by accident that too many of these position players, really outside of Judge and maybe one others, they come up and they're just not refined defenders, or they strike out a ton. So whatever they're doing in the minors, to me, is not really working. And back to Volpe here, how could nobody... I'm sure they pointed it out, to be fair to the Yankees, but they haven't fixed it yet. I'm sitting on my couch, and I know what's coming. Here's a fastball upstairs that you're going to foul back. Here's a slider away that you're going to flail at. And then here's another show-me fastball. Maybe you pull it, you foul it off. And then here's something slow and soft away, and you're going to bail with your hip going into the third base dugout, and you're going to strike out. How in the world do they not fix that, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Volpe simply said he's a little guy that should be playing a little guy's game. But he's a little guy where they're trying to, manipulate him having a big boy agenda. And it's not really going to work. Look, BT, the best team I ever played against in my life was the 1998 New York Yankees. I don't think they had one guy that hit 30 home runs. And yet they won 125 games. Because they did it as a team. It was never 1 against 1. They came at you 9 against 1 like an avalanche that would not give in. Foul ball, foul ball. The Benitez at bat against Paul O'Neill in the World Series. Foul ball, foul ball. It is so difficult. And you play ball, BT. You know how difficult it is when a guy just does not give in, fouls the ball off, doesn't chase, doesn't strike out. Man, by the time you're done 9 innings, you feel like you've been in the ring with Mike Tyson for 15 rounds.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And I'll say this last thing is, you imagine if you told Jeter, instead of hitting, 12, 14, 24 home runs, we want you to hit 35 home runs, but instead of hitting 350, you'll hit 240 and you can't run the base. I mean, it would be an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah, he wouldn't. He might not be in the Hall of Fame because he didn't have that kind of power. He didn't have the easy power, and he wouldn't have all the hits and the average that he has. Talking to A-Rod, of course, BT on the Fan. So I don't think I've ever asked you this, and I'm very curious what your answer is, because I don't think anybody loves the game the way you do. Now, I know you have other interests, and I'm sure that and other business endeavors, the T-Wolves and other stuff. You're busy, and TV. I got it. The way you love the game, forget about the Yankees. Why wouldn't Alex Rodriguez ever want to manage? Would you ever want to manage?
No, I wouldn't want to manage because, as you can hear in my voice, I don't have the patience. And especially, honestly, I think numbers guys have taken over the game, and I think baseball people are out. And unfortunately, that is a sad thing because I don't think we're going to ever get it back. But now you have to adjust. And it's not like about what you did yesterday. It's can you make today's data analytics-driven league and implement some human element? And I think the Dodgers have done that well. Toronto, the Braves when they're healthy. I wouldn't want to manage, but I do get my fix by watching, by texting you, by texting my friends, by texting my homeboys from the 2009 championship team. And I do get my fix in Fox when I do my World Series and when we do, the All-Star game. That's always a lot of fun for us.
Boy, Big Poppy's a trip, huh? I mean, I can't imagine him with a couple shots, a couple of drinks in him. He's got to be absolutely the best. Poppy's awesome, right?
He's absolutely the best. One of my great, great friends. A lot of people don't know this, but Poppy and I, we met when we were 17 years old. We both started with the Seattle Mariners, an instructional league.
Oh.
And, yeah. And he was awesome then, and he's awesome now. And I think the four of us, with Jeter and Kevin Burkhardt, it's like college boys just really enjoying every second of October and having the privilege to talk to the fans of baseball about the game that we all love.
No, honestly, and I'm not just saying this, you guys do a great job because you keep it real. You're critical when you have to be. I remember you and Derek both made news when you just gave a very honest assessment of the Yankees. And, and Poppy's a wild card. Burkhardt, we all love, and we're all proud of him and happy for him. It's a great, great group. You're right, I didn't know that Ortiz was with Seattle. I just remember him coming up as a twin, as a platoon player. Seattle, huh? What was he like when he was 18 or 19?
He was always, he was always like the most likable guy on the team. He's always been like magnetic personality. When he went to the Twins, they neutered his approach a little bit because they only wanted him to kind of, fillet the ball the other way. That was a little bit of a Tom Kelly approach with the Minnesota Twins. And then when he got to Boston, he did that in his first at-bat in 2003 in spring training for Myers. Uh-huh. And he has Terry Francona, the manager, behind him and says, hey, buddy, what the hell is that? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm just trying to hit the ball the other way. He goes, no, I want you to hit the ball in the seats. And that was the birth of Big Papi, unfortunately, for both of us, Al.
That's a great story. And speaking of hitting the ball in the seats, I mean, Pete Alonso hit a ton in the seats, but no more for the Mets unless, after these 5 years he comes back to finish with the Mets. How surprised were you the Mets didn't really make much of a move to sign Pete?
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised because, Pete's been an outstanding ball player, great character. He's been flawless in the community. He wears the Mets, that orange and blue with a lot of pride. And he is really an outstanding young man. It reminds me a little bit of when the Braves let Freddie Freeman go to the Dodgers. But we won't know that answer, in fairness to David Stearns and Steve Cohen, for another 2 or 3 years. Yeah. But I know that right now, Mets fans are hurting everywhere.
Oh, they're crushed, man. They're absolutely, I feel for them. I mean, Nimmo, a little less than, Nimmo than Pete, but Diaz, it has been an absolute train wreck of a month or so for the Met fans. Now, the comparison to Freeman, listen, I can only respond how I think I would respond. And for, I don't know, roughly 2 years, I've been saying that the Mets should probably move on from Pete. That's my opinion because he's not very fast, not a very good fielder, whatever. I'm on the record. I don't need to relitigate that. But if he played like Freddie Freeman, I would have had the exact opposite approach because he's a high average guy. He's a great base runner. He's an awesome defensive player. It's unfortunate that what was once really valued is really no longer valued. So you can make the case that Pete. You can really make two cases, Alex. Pete got screwed by the Mets, or Pete's just a victim of a new way of thinking in baseball, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you have to be able to appreciate the talent. And sometimes, BT, it is not really about the Mets, but in general, we often value what's outside of the organization a lot more than what's inside the organization. And one thing that's undeniable about Alonso is, number one, he plays every single day. That's a little bit of a lost art. Number two, he hits the ball out of the park consistently out of any ballpark. I think he's going to hit a lot of home runs in Baltimore at Camden Yards.
Yeah.
And number three, he's a guy that, from a character point of view, in New York City, you don't have to worry about him running around, getting in trouble. He's a guy that's committed to the game, committed to his family. So I would reverse engineer that. And I would say, when I have a great player like him, I would say, where do I want to land? And if that number is, I don't want to have Alonso past his 34th birthday, then when he's 27 in the middle of his contract, I would look to extend at a premium and knowing that that contract is going to age very, very well for the New York Mets.
Yep, that should have been what they did. They did not. I remember saying that even before I was with Sal, when Teague and I were doing the show. I said that. I'm like, hey, don't let the Mets have to deal with when the Yankees were trying to retain Aaron Judge. I'm like, just preemptively do this. And I think Pete was 27, to your point. All right, you got to do me a favor here. So he might be listening now. I hope he's not. So Sal was telling us, because we're getting ready to come to your house, to your apartment tomorrow. Can't wait. Thank you for the invite, by the way. It's going to be awesome. And Sal went out and he got himself this new corduroy suit, all right? And he's trying to impress you a little bit, Alex. You got to do me a favor. Like the moment that he walks in, not in front of anybody, but at least to him and in front of me, you got to clown him. You just got to clown him on the suit. Promise me. You got to do it, man. Come on.
I got to be a better host than that, BT. I feel bad. Maybe I'll do it for like 10 seconds, but I got to... Then you got to bail me out because that's, by the way, that'll be the first time I meet Sal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I have to be nice to him, but I'll give him we'll have a little fun with him.
Yeah, just a little rookie hazing, so to speak, like we're back in the clubhouse. Let me ask you this, too, and it was awesome to see, man. The documentary, of course, Alex versus A-Rod on HBO Max. If you guys haven't seen it, many of you have. If you haven't, check it out. I would imagine just getting to know you a little bit and how honest you've been, which is really good for you more than anything. I don't think you could have done this 5 years ago. Like, you had to get to a place in your life where you can be so transparent and take those dents and those slings and those arrows that you absorbed and realize that maybe you earned some of them and come out stronger the other side. Did you enjoy doing that documentary?
Did I enjoy it? I wouldn't say I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It was definitely like going down memory lane, and in many ways it was therapeutic. In some ways it was very triggering. Look, I made some very loud mistakes in my career, and I've been asked for 10 or 15 years by everyone in between do you want to tell your story in a documentary? And I thought at that point it would have been disingenuous. and the story really hadn't landed, and I still had a lot more work to do, as I do today. But now that I just turned 50 and I have, 2 teenage daughters, I wanted them to co-sign on it. They were a big part of this project. And, when I look back now, through all my stupidity, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I'm proud of everything that I did, because that's the best I could have done at that time with the tools that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm in a place that, I wouldn't trade with. I'm one of the luckiest human beings to be where I am today with, my health, 2 beautiful daughters, and get to do some of the things that I like to do.
You seem at peace. And those of you those who loved you no matter what. Those who were like, this guy did this or this guy did that. I think if they saw it, I think it really had a chance for them to see you differently and maybe change how they view you. But most importantly, you found some solace internally. It's awesome. It really, I think it was so good. It was so. My wife loved it. You'll meet her tomorrow. Oh, thank God this isn't a long time ago. All I heard when Alex is so good looking. Oh, Alex, those beautiful blue piercing eyes. Oh, hey, listen, you got a lot going for you. You stay away from the wife tomorrow night. All right, buddy.
BBT, she'll be very disappointed because I'm much worse in person.
All right, man. I will see you tomorrow. You are one of my 2 final guests. I had to end up with somebody from my favorite team. I had to end up with somebody that I believe knows about the game as much as anybody and loves the game. It's my favorite sport. Love talking shop with you. Can't wait to have a couple of drinks tomorrow and meet your girlfriend. You get to meet Jen and just have a great time, man. I thank you very much, Alex.
You got to say hello to Rick Pitino. He's one of my favorites as well. I'm a big St. John's guy. And BT, you guys have a lot to be proud of, and I cannot wait to see your next chapter and hopefully be a small part of it.
That's awesome.
Best of luck to you, my friend.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much, Alex. You got it, brother.